All right, let's update a game that's underway right now over on ESPN. It's Texas A&M, New Mexico. Connor Wigman, Noah Thomas.
Do you like the fade? Or that's further out. You'll accept that. You hate.
No, I'm
the fade,
okay
right?
with it. I do hate the fade.
Oh, the fade is
fade.
beautiful.
I know. I've been telling him this for years.
You know, Chiz hates the fade too.
Because most guys don't run it. Don't run it right. The problem is the receiver. Most receivers get too anxious and don't run it correctly.
I could have, if I would have told you, Jermaine Burton led the team in receiving last year. Would you have believed me?
No.
Right? Is
But
that
I
a
think
surprising
that
little
speaks
fact?
to the average nature of last year's receiving core. I'm looking forward to these guys busting out. I mean, 677 receiving is not a typical number one receiver at Alabama. It may not be this year either. I mean, the Tommy Rees offense supposedly is going to run the football more. If Jalen Milroe is the quarterback for the entirety of the season, he's going to be able to contribute on the ground with his legs. So it'll be interesting to see, B-Dub, what the personality of this Alabama offense looks like this year.
Yeah, I'm with you on the receivers. Last year, Coach Saban talked a lot about the fact that they didn't have explosiveness at wide receiver. But defensively, they got to restore some physicality to the defense. And that's something we've heard the entire offseason from the D lineman, from the linebacker. You see Dallas Turner there. They've all talked about the fact that the number 7 haunts them. They've only had 7 interceptions last year, only 3 forced fumbles. And so bringing in Kevin Steele as a new defensive coordinator, I think he's going to emphasize getting some turnovers for that defense.
Is it unfair for people to say there's this year's Will Anderson?
Yeah, because especially with Will Anderson not taking the focal point of the protection, I mean, Dallas Turner was the beneficiary of that last year to some degree.
I've heard it a lot.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I mean, he is going to be what Will Anderson was, and maybe he can be what Will Anderson was. But that's
I hope for his sake that he is, but that's a high expectation. Will Anderson was a generational player as well as Bryce Young. And you talk about this Alabama football team and replacing a Heisman Trophy winner, whether it's Jalen Milroe or Buckner or Simpson, the other quarterbacks long term.
Yeah.
They've got some big shoes to fill in replacing Bryce Young.
You see, they're a huge favorite, 39. But Texas comes in next week. That's a marquee game nationwide next week, maybe the marquee game nationwide next week. What is it? They don't have the luxury of easing into that, 3-4 weeks away. It's next week. So what does Alabama need to show you to tell you they'll be okay?
There are 2 things that disappointed me the last couple years in Tuscaloosa. It's been the receivers that you talked about and the offensive line. The offensive line has not been up to the level of expectation that Alabama typically has at that position. But I think this is a year that those guys secretly feel confident. Maybe it has to do with Tommy Rees. Maybe it has to do with what the plan for the offense, maybe running a little bit more, letting them be more aggressive. But I want to see the offensive line assert them.
I got some money burning holes in my pants, and I've been wearing down the bones in my hands. I'm getting off and yeah, I got me some plans. I got this fever burning inside. I got this fever getting me high. Oh!
It's football time, and the crowd is electric. Welcome to SEC Saturday night.
Let's have a great night. On the dance floor, I'll be the cowboy. On the wild horse, and if we don't drown, when we're swimming ashore, I'll be the first in line to get some more.
The journey has begun. Nick Saban and his Alabama Crimson Tide welcome Middle Tennessee to town tonight, looking to stay undefeated against Middle and get off on the right foot once again. Alabama has won 21 consecutive home openers, looking to make it 22. Let's get you down to the field. Cole Kubelik is standing by with Nick Saban.
Coach Saban, Jalen Milroe won this quarterback job. How does he win the rest of this football team tonight?
Well, I think it's all about how he performs and how he plays. I want him to be confident in what he's doing. He's prepared well. I think Tommy's done a good job with him. I think we got a good plan, so just got to perform.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Plenty of change around this Alabama program coming into this season. Nick Saban mentioned his new offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees, and a new starter at quarterback. That was the talk throughout the entire offseason and leading up to this game tonight. And with that, we welcome you, Tom Hart alongside Jordan Rogers. You've seen Cole down on the field. There's a reason everyone was curious about the Alabama quarterback. They're replacing a Heisman Trophy winner, and they're trying to do it with some guys without much experience.
Yeah, and the last 4 are all starters in the NFL, so there's big shoes to fill. But I think the biggest reason this was the most anticipated quarterback competition in the country is this team is built to compete for a national championship this year everywhere around the quarterback competition. So I think Jalen Milroe won that because he has the highest ceiling right now. He's an athlete. He can push the ball downfield. It's going to be his job to limit those catastrophic mistakes. Nick Saban mentioned, I want him to end every single drive with a kick. Extra point, field goal, or a punt. That's not the worst thing. Don't turn the football over and manage the game.
Nick Saban told us in our meetings yesterday, we want Jalen Milroe to play well enough that we can get to the next guy. And we're told that Tyler Buchner will be the next guy, the Notre Dame transfer.
Yeah, and look, and this is intriguing. I don't think the competition is completely over, right? Nick mentioned, hey, you don't play well, you're going to be right back in the competition. So the Notre Dame transfer, Tyler Buchner, is intriguing, especially his relationship with Tommy Rees, albeit it's a completely new offense.
Alabama won the toss, elected to defer, so we will see Middle Tennessee receive, and we'll see Alabama's defense on the field to start the game. And Cole, if it's possible, this defense, thanks to all the quarterback talk, has been overshadowed in the offseason.
Tom, I don't think there's any doubt that it's been overshadowed because of that quarterback conversation. Kevin Steele returns as defensive coordinator, and there's a lot of star power on that side of the football. Dallas Turner could be the best edge defender in college football. Kool-Aid McKinstry might be the best corner in college football. I think Jaheim Otis right now the best interior defensive lineman in the SEC, and I think Deontay Lawson is set to absolutely bust out at inside linebacker for this Alabama group. We're going to learn a lot about the second group tonight, but I think the first 11 have a chance to be special.
So there's a lot of confidence on both sides of the ball for this Alabama team looking to return to the college football playoff in a final year of the 4-team invitational. Meanwhile, it's an opportunistic sideline for Middle Tennessee. They got their first ever top 25 win last year under head coach Rick Stockstill. They did it on the road at Miami, and their success defensively has kind of been an all or nothing thing. There's hardly anybody in the country better at taking the ball away.
Yeah, and they're going to bring the house. They're going to bring a lot of elaborate pressures, which can be troublesome for a young or inexperienced quarterback. So Alabama's quarterbacks are going to have to handle the pressure package that MTSU is going to bring tonight because they are good at disrupting and turning the football over and letting their air raid make big plays on the other side.
Denny Stadium is primed and ready. Nick Saban will tell you this is no appetizer to next week's entree. This is the game that matters the most. And it's a series in which Alabama has never lost to Middle Tennessee. That's met in 2015 here at Bryant-Denny. DJ England Chisholm had a huge game in the upset against Miami last year. He will receive the kick from Will Reichert, who's back for another go at it as Alabama's kicker. Beautiful night for football here in T-Town, and we are underway in Alabama. A touchback and no return. We'll see versions of the air raid for this Middle Tennessee Blue Raider offense. They're led by Nicholas Vattiato, who 2 years ago burned his red shirt and came out to start, and you see that offense reaching down, grabbing some grass. They were told this week, hey man, we're going to make memories here tonight, get some mementos before you go, and that's what they're doing. Vattiato's from Plantation, Florida, played at a couple of different high schools. He was the scout team quarterback 2 years ago. They had one quarterback leave the team. Their starter got injured. They burned his red shirt. He started the final 5 games and was the bowl game MVP. Got his red shirt back as a reserve last year. Frank Pizan is his running back. And on first down, they'll fake the toss and look to go deep down the sideline. It is batted away. Terrion Arnold with great hands, denying DJ England Chisholm, who had the big catches against Miami a year ago.
Boy, I love the play call, right? A lot of times a team will come into this game and play a little hesitant at first, take a deep shot, but that is perfect coverage by Terrion Arnold. In phase the entire time, got his head around and broke it up.
On second down, they swing it outside, but Elijah Metcalf is quickly swarmed. It was Caleb Downs, a freshman, with the stop, and that'll bring up 3rd and long here for the visitors from Middle. Bama was not a great takeaway team last year. They go the jet sweep and Metcalf, but a whistle before they could get started. And movement on the middle side.
False start. Offense. Number 24. 5-yard penalty. Another third down.
Daniel Gautreaux is our white hat tonight. Worked the college football playoff last season.
You can already see with that play call the respect that Mitch Stewart, the offensive coordinator for Middle Tennessee, has for this pass rush from Alabama. Cole mentioned it. Dallas Turner, top of your screen, one of the best in the entire country at getting after the quarterback. If this is a pass play, it's got to come out quick.
He's looking for a bounce back season. He was superstar as a freshman. 4-man rush. Turner chases him out of the pocket, and they'll just throw that one away.
Boy, a great little game on the outside, a stunt for Dallas Turner. Gonna get him looping around to the inside, trying to screen that tackle and guard. And he has a free rush at Vattiato. Does a great job of just escaping, throwing the ball away. Let's punt it and regroup.
And so on 4th and 15, Miles Tillman, third-year sophomore from up the road in Huntsville, is on to punt it away. Kool-Aid McKinstry set to return for Bama. A low line drive kick, but a good one. And McKinstry chased all the way back to the 21, where he is immediately swallowed up. And so here we go, second start of the career for Jalen Milroe, third-year sophomore out of Katy, Texas.
I think most important today for Milroe is having a plan before the snap. I mentioned those catastrophic turnovers. He's got to take a play that has 4 or 5 reads and squish it down to 1 or 2 right before the snap, so he's confident in the decisions he's making and where he's going with the ball.
See what they have drawn up for him to get started. A stable of sensational running backs for Bama. Jace McClellan will get the first opportunity tonight.
The ruling on the field is a completed punt catch. The previous play is under video review.
See if there's kick catch interference perhaps on Kool-Aid McKinstry. He was swallowed up as soon as he touched it. And the question is, Booth initiated targeting.
Yeah, 'cause he caught that one off the bounce, right?
Yep. Here's Deontay Stanley coming in for the hit. There's a little bit of crown of the helmet involved there.
Yeah, a little bit. So obviously targeting goes into 2 buckets, right? It's either a defenseless player or it's crown of the helmet right there. That's kind of borderline and defenseless, right? I mean, he's fielding the punt, but it did bounce, so I don't think that's the case. So I really think it has to be crown of the helmet here, which was reclassified about a year ago. 6-inch radius right at the very top of the helmet. So you see an indicator the helmet definitely does duck. Is there forcible contact with the crown? That is the key. And again, a couple years ago, the crown included just above the face mask.
That's right.
Not anymore. It's got to be the very top of the helmet. Really tough there to see if the crown does make forcible contact to the head or neck area. Again, that's important as well.
And by the way, there's even, we're talking about the crown of the helmet in the new definition relative to the face mask. It extends all the way around. So
yeah,
it's almost like he over-rotated the crown, if anything, and got him with his own back of the helmet.
Right.
Which is one thing to consider.
Just really tough to see from that angle where exactly that first contact was.
And so more time for Jalen Milroe to think about this first snap. As first year starting quarterback, obviously the thought is that Tommy Rees has gone over the script with him and given him a lot to be comfortable with before this first snap.
No doubt. I mean, look, Tommy Rees came in and learned an entire new system as well. He's going to put his own wrinkles on this game, but they're going to come in.
After video review, there is targeting on kicking team number 31. 15 yards from the end of the kick. First down, number 31 is disqualified.
Well, they just lost the starting cornerback.
Wow. See, that's one of those that was, I think, really tough to decipher. Just it was really hard to tell exactly where that contact was initiated. Yes, there was an indicator. The helmet dipped, excuse me. The crown of the helmet looked like it was involved, but that's a big loss for MTSU. But like I was about to say, There's a package of 5 or 6 pass plays in this first probably 15 or 20 that Milroe has repped for weeks now and feels really comfortable with. Expect that ball to come out quickly.
And they'll throw on the first play to Isaiah Bond. And Bond is able to slip through the first and pick up 7. Changes in latitudes, changes in attitudes all over this Alabama program. Tommy Rees in his first year as the offensive coordinator came over from Notre Dame, where he started as a freshman quarterback. In his first year as the OC, helped Notre Dame into the CFP. 2nd down 3. And McClellan pressured in the backfield, and this is what Middle can do. They will bring pressure all over the place. Quindarius Dunnigan and Marley Cook able to get in the backfield for a loss of 4.
Well, you can see Parker Hughes come screaming off the edge here to set that edge against the run. And you're right, this is the risk reward that Middle Tennessee plays with on the defensive side. They're not a 2-gap. They're not going to initiate contact and try to read which side you're going to go. They're going to pick a gap and shoot it, which can lead to big plays, but it can also lead to big negative plays as well.
And so 3rd and 7 now for Jalen Milroe. Pressure coming again. Milroe goes to the out route. That's caught for a first down by Bond. And the Alabama drive stays alive. A little extra at the end from Bond.
This is what Tommy Rees and Nick Saban want to see out of Jalen Milroe. Love the footwork. 3 steps, 1 hitch. The ball comes out on time, in rhythm, and with great accuracy.
And now a chance to run it. And that's McClellan straight ahead. Pick up a 4. Jalen Jackson seeing some early time in the middle backfield, coming in to make the tackle. Almost an embarrassment of riches in the backfield for Alabama. McClellan, Roydell Williams, Jam Miller, Justice Haynes. A couple of young bucks on the back end of the depth chart. That is a ton of talent, experience at the top with McClellan and Williams, both seniors. And on 2nd and 6, they'll do it again behind a huge offensive line, and a hole made to the outside by McClellan, who finally gets wrestled out after a pickup of 20 by Trey Fluellen.
Boy, Tommy Rees was known at Notre Dame for multiple tight end sets. Watch these tight ends. 12 personnel here, blocking up, getting a body on a linebacker. Kendrick Law also coming across with a great block as well there for Jace McClellan. That's one of those little wrinkles that Tommy Rees is bringing to this offense.
Fresh set of downs again for Alabama. Bad snap. Milroe scoops it up. And he's trying to make something out of nothing. The ad-lib for the quarterback in his 2nd start, and he is in! Touchdown, Alabama! He may be the most explosive player on this roster, and he just showed why.
That's one of those times you just smile and shake your head and say, I'm glad he's on our side.
Will Reichert for the point after. I feel like Bryce Young would have found an open receiver. That was his strength in the scramble game. Jalen Milroe showing off his strength.
Different quarterback skill set. Like you mentioned from Bryce Young, Jalen Milroe, probably the best athlete on the field, takes a ground ball and says, you know what? I'm going to call my own number here and just run around everybody.
Last quarterback I saw do things like that going into that end zone. They made a Netflix documentary out of him.
The Bryant-Denny Stadium, you're watching SEC Saturday Night, presented by T-Mobile 5G Home Internet. Alabama out to an early lead. First possession score for Jalen Milroe on a QB scramble. Will Reichert kick off again. And once again, through the back of the end zone and no return. Well, plenty of changes around this Alabama program. Everything old is new again, though. Kevin Steele back for his third go at it here on Nick Saban's staff, and no stranger throughout college football and even within the SEC, Steele's history.
I thought it was interesting talking to Kevin about what has changed since he left and came back. He said about 65–70% of the verbiage and the application is all the same. The genius, though, of how Saban has continued to alter this defense is we used to run one concept front side and a different concept backside. Now it's all different for RPOs and tempo, so it's adapted with the times.
On the run, back shoulder in great hands, and that is Elijah Metcalf. And Middle's got it in Bama territory on a 27-yard strike. We do have a flag on the play on the far side.
Boy, an absolute strike. Great ball location, great body control there by Metcalf.
An eligible player downfield. Offense number 63. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Cole, that was the center. How does the center get that far downfield?
Oh, you got an RPO there, and so a little bit of a pop pass concept where the quarterback's going to run out, but they're blocking run on that play. So I would imagine, Jordan, quarterback's got to get that thing out flat instead of seeing something downfield, but obviously made a play out of it. It's just not beneficial when your O-lineman's downfield trying to block a linebacker.
Wilson Kelly is from Boyle County High School, Kentucky. He's not used to moving around a ton. He was on the bass fishing team in high school in addition to playing football. Now 1st and 15. This is Jeremy Tate Jr.
Well, Tom, you mentioned Wilson Kelly being on that bass fish, and I talked to Mitch Stewart, the offensive coordinator, about him. He said, man, he's one of the good old boys in our locker room. Last year he had to fill in due to injury, started 4 games. We went 4-0 in those games, and he said almost every day I've seen him in the facility since. He walks around holding up 4 fingers saying 4-0, 4-0, 4-0.
6'2", 300. He could weigh down the back of the boat. Here's England Chisholm, who was magnificent last year against Miami. 2 catches for 169 yards, including a school record 98-yard touchdown. That was a big strike offense. Middle ran away with that game. Never trailed in it. Even got a pick 6 early. 3rd down 8. Bama brings 4. And they try to go outside McKinstry's way, and it's incomplete. Trying to find Javante Sherman.
Boy, his little 9-route vertical. Vadiato trying to hit a back shoulder here. Kool-Aid, look at it. I mean, how smooth is that? I mean, it looked like he was barely running. He's tempoing with the receiver, staying on his back hip just in case that back shoulder was coming. And absolutely
like that
he was.
He put the sword back in the sheet. He didn't take it out. He put it back in.
So it was already out, right? Oh, yeah. I didn't see him take it out, though.
Trey Turk will punt it away. And Kool-Aid McKinstry on to receive this one. Not a good one. It takes a middle hop, and McKinstry gets it off that short hop. And he's got the sideline and into Middle Tennessee territory. Let's take a look at Jalen Milroe at the quarterback position.
Yeah, really paying attention to his footwork today. At times last year in his development, the footwork and the timing of it didn't match the timing of the concept. Watch the 3 steps here. Really quick with his back 2. This is supposed to be a tempo 3 and hitch. He takes a quick 3, so it looks like that route is covered. And by the time his feet are telling him to throw it, he's going, it's not open. If you would have waited that half a second longer, you would have seen the separation start on the outside. So he's got to learn, and he did early, I pointed it out, to tempo those drops and those hitches to time up perfectly so his feet are telling him when to throw at the right time that the concept is coming open.
Roydell Williams is now in a tailback, and he rips off 4 on his first try. So still a lot to work at for Jalen Milroe over the course of the offseason and now in the season. And Nick Saban made it abundantly clear to anybody who would listen, just because he is starting this game does not mean it's his job in perpetuity. The competition will continue. And now 2nd and 5. And that one's complete, leaving with 3rd and 1. Roydell Williams with the catch.
Bringing 2 tight ends in the game here, trading Amari Niblack out for Danny Lewis and Robbie Oots. This is where Alabama's going to go. You know what? We got bigger dudes than you up front.
Do they ever? Roydell Williams And a first down, Milroe on the keeper. Caden Proctor, by the way, 3:35 getting a start at left tackle, freshman from Des Moines. And committed to Iowa. He is a big cat.
That might be what they have in the program, Tom, but it's 369 was what I was told at practice the other day.
Ooh.
Yeah, you know, for us skinny guys, they always put our weight higher than it actually was. For those big boys, it's the opposite.
Little dance by Roydell Williams to get through. Talking with
Look at this
Tommy
finish.
Reese.
Ooh.
Yeah. You like that call? And a flex afterward?
Say, that's not the one that you want to go one-on-one with.
There's J.C. Latham just outside of the picture that finished his guy off a good 20 yards away from where the play ended.
On the left side of scrimmage, by the way, he plays right tackle.
He's setting all sorts of records in the weight room. 2nd and 6 now for Milroe and company. Pressure coming. And he gets rid of it to one of those mini tight ends, C.J. Dupree, transfer from Maryland. Talking with Tommy Reese yesterday about Milroe, he said he spent the summer trying to understand more pre-snap, not just the play, but the intent of the play. Here's the base concept. When we call this, here's where we attack and why. Conceptually getting on the same page.
You know why? Because the misconception about quarterbacks is you make reads by watching receivers. No. You make your reads by watching the defenders. So if you know why the play is called, who you're trying to affect, you can get your eyes on the right guy, and then you start to manipulate the defense. Then you're really playing the quarterback position.
Roydell Williams with the first set. Had a chance to watch Jalen in practice Thursday. Watched him in practice. We were here a couple of times last year. If there's one concern, is the accuracy on the short and intermediate passes. Tommy Reese said it's something we continue to work on. But is that processing as an athlete, or is that knowing the offense, or both?
I think that's just his feet. Being consistent
the mechanics
with
of it.
where his feet are when they're in rhythm, platform. Look at that. Feet were aligned. He was ready, strong base to throw the football, accurate throw. Right? When his feet are a little off platform or too quick and he's out of rhythm, watch this. Oh, that's the run play.
That was good too, though. That was good. Solid mechanics. 2nd and 1 now after that completion to Jermaine Burton. In reach for and caught, and a little shake by Kobe Prentice.
Here's the struggle with that. He's such a good athlete and has such a strong arm. His feet don't always need to be aligned. And you can get bad habits as a quarterback. So just understanding the more consistent you are with your feet, the more consistent you'll be with all those intermediate and underneath throws.
Perfect start for Milroe, 6 for 6 for 47 yards. 2nd possession tonight for Alabama.
Isaiah Bond in the slot here. He's a guy who has taken a huge step this fall camp.
McClellan on the handoff. And it's a pickup of 6. Will leave 2nd and goal now.
Again, that may be an area where Alabama teams have passed. Take that little RPO, right? They're giving a slot guy some space, but this team is just built different. You're going to see the red zone. They're going to get in the red zone, and they are going to just start bullying people down by the goal line.
Joyless murder ball on both sides of the ball for this year's Alabama iteration. 2nd and goal now. Big fella's trying to clear some space, and McClellan can only crawl forward for a yard.
You have seen legitimate movement on about 4 consecutive run plays from this Alabama offensive line. Just defensive players going backwards, cleats in the ground, just ripping up dirt and grass being pushed off that line of scrimmage. Impressive. They've lived up to the hype so far.
And there's a loaded front 5, and if you're wondering just how big this offensive line is, and there's an injured player from the middle, just compare them to the guys who play on Sundays. Average NFL offensive line last year, 6'5", 315. Alabama's tonight, 6'5", 339. Okay, but how about more specifics? How about the heaviest O-line last year? That belonged to the Patriots. Nearly 333 pounds on average. Bama's bigger than that, Cole, and that's a bunch of movers up front.
It's a big offensive line, Tom, but there's one aspect of it, and I've been teasing this on Mac and Cube for about 2 weeks now. Never in my life have I seen 3 starting offensive linemen in one group that all weighed over 350 pounds. I texted every offensive line coach that I know. I texted my offensive line group, everybody I know affiliated with the Joe Moore Award, everybody that played the position. And a couple people gave me a couple teams, oh, Minnesota 2018 or Arkansas 2013 or Wisconsin 2007. I went back and looked at all of them, man. I couldn't find a group with 2 that were over 350. This group has 3 starters over 350 pounds.
My biggest question after that presentation is McElroy buy you lunch for a radio drop during the game?
A lot of times, yeah.
How about an Arby's NIL deal? Because they have the meat.
Listen, he's not out there eating Rodney Scott's, but out to lunch, yeah, that's how you would describe it.
3rd and goal, bounce to the outside, and McClellan splashes in. Alabama with another 3rd down conversion on their 2nd possession of the night.
Actually, a really good job here by Middle of shooting the gaps here, being strong up front, and just great vision by Jace McClellan. Sticks his head down there, nothing there, keeps his feet alive, finds that green grass.
Here's Riker for the point after. And that's good. So Jace McClellan, who had 7 touchdowns on the ground last year after a good start this season. And Alabama's got a 2-touchdown lead on Middle Tennessee State.
SEC Saturday Night is presented by T-Mobile 5G Home Internet, connecting homes across the SEC.
Well, no shortage of successful quarterbacks coming through here all time, and especially recently. Jalen, Tua, Mac, and Bryce all starting in the NFL. And now Jalen Milroe making his 2nd start, appeared in a game off the bench for Bryce last year against Arkansas and led the team on some touchdown drives, and then got to start next time out. He is a 6-for-6 start, and that includes a 21-yard scramble on a touchdown. And Will Reichert here tonight. And another unreturnable kickoff. Busy day in college football. Let's get you back to the studio. First time this year. Hello, Dari.
Hello, Tommy. Good to talk to you. Good to hear you in my ear, my friend. As we update North Carolina, South Carolina, I will tell you this. The Gamecocks have just tied the game, frozen in time. A&M, by the way, 21-7 up on New Mexico, guys. We'll get better in round 2, buddy.
Hey, we all need our spring training. You know what I'm saying? By the way, that A&M offense off to a decent start. Long touchdown pass. It'll be one worth following all year. Nick Vattiato, red shirt last year after being a starter off the bench the year before in an odd timeline, and he'll scramble out of bounds. His coach came to him 2 years ago, and he said, you know, we lost one quarterback, the other one's injured. I can make it up to you, but we got to pull that red shirt off. And he was ready to go. He told us earlier in the week, he said, it was quite a journey because up until 2 weeks before, I was a scout team quarterback. That's a big jump.
And he goes out his first ever start, throws 5 interceptions. That'll be tough to recover from, but he does. Ends up being the bowl MVP that year. So what a great maturation season for his confidence. Got to sit and continue to learn last year with just 1 start. But this is what Middle Tennessee needs to get into. Some of the tempo, a little more motion. That's what this air raid version of offense is really known for. A little jump early there.
4th flag against Blue Raiders.
Offense, number 64. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Step forward and a step back. One of the longest tenured coaches in the FBS. In fact, we got 2 of them tonight. Rick Stockstill on one side. His son Brent is a quarterback coach for this team. He was a starting QB when they came in here in 2015. Vattiato swings it out. And Jaden Cradle is able to pick up a first down. They went back and watched a lot of film against Alabama and Alabama games last year. I was a little bit surprised, given that Middle does a lot of air raid stuff, and that's the background for Mitch Stewart, that Mississippi State was just kind of the film they watched. They watched A&M, LSU, Austin Peay. It's a lot of different things.
Tennessee a couple times for what they do with those stacks and a lot of motion. They know they're outmatched on the back end, so that motion is really designed to soften up the coverage. What Tennessee did so good at, or so well last year. Again, only seen it a couple times though. Alabama is young, little inexperienced at 1 or 2 spots in the secondary, so thought we'd see more of that. Thought we'd see more of them forcing the communication on the back end.
Had to get the chain right. It's now 2nd and 1 for Middle Tennessee State. There's new names on the Alabama defense, especially in the linebacker spot, then on the back end, and they'll try to run it, needing one, and bottled up was Cradle.
I think they just got it. Chains are moving. Here comes that tempo.
Otis in on that stop for Alabama. No huddle for Middle, 4 wide. And Vattiato trying to keep it and leave its feet and able to turn it into a 5-yard gain.
See a little bit of a read there. Mitch Stewart, the Middle Tennessee offensive coordinator, told me, guys, that almost every run we have is going to be a misdirection or have an element of misdirection and will be tagged with an RPO, trying to use that Alabama speed against them.
There's pressure up the middle. They drop one. Vattiato up his back foot, and a flag coming in. 2 flags, as a matter of fact.
I think they might get Cradle running back on a chop block.
Personal foul. Shot block. Offense. Number 63 and number 22. 15-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
You're going to see Cradle in pass protection. He's going to go low on an Alabama defender that's engaged with the center right here. Yeah, Deontay Lawson working on the center. Cradle goes low.
Alabama team that would like to get more turnovers. Only 7 interceptions last year. That was the fewest under Nick Saban. Pete Golding is off to Ole Miss, and now Kevin Steele back as the coordinator. And right over the middle, and that's complete for a pickup of 9 to Elijah Metcalf. And so new opportunities on the back end, including the veteran Malachi Moore playing the star position, and Caleb Downs, freshman 5-star recruit, getting a start at safety.
And he's a superstar in the making. I mean, it was a lot of restraint in the spring for Kevin Steele to not tell me just how highly he thought of Caleb Downs already. He said made an impact from day one, and he's going to be the next great on the back end.
6 DBs out there now, and they get to the quarterback. Quandarius Robinson with the sack. It's a loss of 8.
Boy, another little twist here. Linebackers this time going to see this one shoot the A gap, and Lawson's going to loop around. It's going to confuse the left guard and center. They're trying to pass this off. They run right into each other.
But both of them would have gotten home. Deontay Lawson being the other. Cole, there's some thought this linebacker core could be more athletic than what they had out in the field last year.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. There are a couple of guys that just weren't great in space, but the athleticism, the length of this group, I think has a much higher ceiling than last year's did.
Miles Tillman kicks it away. And Middle will come out with great field position. Last moments of the first quarter after that 52-yard punt. Jalen Milroe and Alabama will have it, looking to score on its 3rd straight possession to open the 23 season. This season, for every field goal and extra point made by participating universities, Allstate will make a contribution to the university's general scholarship fund. Thank you, Allstate. To start for Jalen Milroe. 21-yard rushing touchdown, the longest for an Alabama quarterback since 19. And Tua, here's a handoff to Jace McClellan. And that will likely take us to the end of the first quarter in a 7-yard run. Alabama averaging 6.5 yards per play through the first quarter under the direction of Jalen Milroe. We will hear from Middle Tennessee State head coach Rick Stockstill when we return to Tuscaloosa right after this.
defense slowed us down a little bit. So we got to just play a little bit more poised and a little bit more under control, get this thing rolling.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Back-to-back bowl wins for the first time in school history at Middle. You saw the homage to Bobby Bowden. Silhouette of the hat on his hat. He was a quarterback at Florida State. Stockstill was team captain for Coach Bowden in 1981. 3rd and short. And a little bit of pressure in the backfield, but a sneak through for the first down for Jason McClellan. Let's go back to what Coach Stockstill was saying to Cole. This is an up-tempo offense. They'll take some shots and take chances defensively. And he told us this week, I don't think we're sending the right message to our players if we come out here and try to run the clock or be vanilla defensively and get outside of who we are in our identity.
And how many of these games that have we done where Alabama has played a group of 5 team and they come and do something that's not them?
They get pressure on the quarterback, and it's a sack for Jonathan Butler. And that's what Middle does when they're at their best. It's a loss of 10.
Butler just shoots the gap right here. You're going to see J.C. Latham has his eyes outside. Not sure if Darian Dalcourt, no. Slide was going to the left, so that's one where Jalen Milroe, if he can identify that, he's got to slide it the opposite direction. We used to call that Ricky and Lucy, so maybe a Lucy call was on, 4-man slide to the left, he's got to come up Ricky, that linebacker's walked up and protect himself.
And if you miss, the linebacker says, Lucy, I'm home. It's Malik Benson with the catch, and first for the junior college transfer. We have not seen Ja'Cory Brooks in the game in his first half for Alabama. So we'll see him in the second half. It's not injury related, but an early look at Malik Benson here tonight.
And he could be an important piece to this puzzle. I think last year they really lacked that true vertical threat. Now Isaiah Bond's a guy that can fly, and he's going to fill that role. But Malik Benson, he's big, he's fast, #1 JUCO receiver out of high school. He's the target right here.
Milroe incomplete. I want to go back a second. Have you never seen I Love Lucy?
What are you talking about? I've seen every single episode that was ever created.
Thanks.
Every day in the summer. My mom was a big fan, so we watched it every single day.
I was kind of hoping you'd roll in with like a pencil thin mustache. 4th and 15, and Alabama to punt it away for the first time. That's the first miss from Jalen Milroe tonight. James Burnett will punt it away, and Teldrick Ross, senior out of Macon, Georgia, back to receive. Plenty of hang time on this one. And he kicks out of bounds. And Middle Tennessee will get another chance at it here at Bryant-Denny Stadium after that 53-yard punt. There may not be a more aptly named school in the entire country. Middle Tennessee in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, 34 miles from Nashville, sits at the geographic and population center of the state of Tennessee. 20,000 the enrollment. On back-to-back bowls for the first time in school history. Got their first top 25 win last year. It was on the road at Miami. A little delayed handoff and straight ahead. Frank Peasant. We haven't seen much of Peasant that was labeled the starter, but Cradle getting some carries on that last possession. In fact, that's the first touch for the junior from Pensacola.
Surprising. He was their bell cow all of last year, second team All-Conference USA. So first game, you never know. Sometimes guys get a little banged up in fall camp. And
they'll go empty here with 5 wide. Bama showing pressure. Vadiato's got a scramble. Being chased by Marshall, and he unloads deep and incomplete. Wow. Afraid to let it fly, trying to get it to Kellen Stewart. Austin Peay transfer.
Well, that was one thing, really the first time I think we've seen this Middle Tennessee offense go true empty set. That was something that Vadiato specifically asked his offensive coordinator Mitch Stewart for, and as a quarterback you can see everything much better. So even though Alabama was bringing pressure, it's much harder to hide that in empty. Then again, you also got to block those defensive ends that Alabama has. So
Peasant will empty it again. Play clock at 3. 5-man rush, and it's a quarterback draw, and plenty of room for Vattiato. And he'll take it all the way into Bama territory with a scramble of 30 yards.
Well, I love this. So the motion tells the offense that Deontay Lawson is going to blitz. So great, cave him down to run quarterback draw the opposite way. It's a great job of using motion to give you information and then checking the play.
How much does his control at the offense at the line of scrimmage have to do with something like that, Jerry?
Oh, it's huge.
Quick strike to the outside and nearly fumbled by Javonte Sherman.
And something that he couldn't do in 2021 when he was a first-year starter, but sitting all last year, that's when you really start to take hold of the playbook. You got to sit back, watch, learn everything he could, and now he does have much more control than a normal air raid offense will allow a quarterback to have at the line of scrimmage.
And what a huge opportunity for Middle here early in the second quarter, down 2 touchdowns. Rick Stockstill said, we're going to run our stuff and be who we are. Vattiato looking to go deep. Comes back intermediate, and good footwork by Jeremy Tate. They'll set up 3rd and 2. What do you like here out of what we've seen so far from Middle on 3rd and short?
Boy, I might go empty again. They're going to start with a running back, Peasant in the backfield. Let's see if they use motion to get an idea of what Alabama's going to do, and then maybe check out of it like they did 2 plays ago.
Third down 2 for Middle Tennessee. Quick to the outside, got a block and a first down for the Blue Raiders. That's DJ England Chisholm.
Yeah, this is just stealing, right? You run a stack formation, so the defense is forced to play one guy low and one guy high. And if you can get the ball out quick enough and get hands on that point man, you're going to get at least a couple yards, and that's all they needed there.
Now first down, looking for the end zone. Incomplete, trying to find Chisholm. There's a flag down.
This is going to be roughing the passer. Looks like Jaheim Otis.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 91. Contact above the quarterback's shoulder, half the distance to the goal, first down.
First flag against Bama tonight.
Jaheim Otis here winning on the inside, getting his hand up to try to block that ball, and that's a big man. That arm weighs a lot. When it's coming down, he's not trying to bring force, but it's got a lot of force behind it. It's hit the quarterback in the wrong spot.
Vattiato said that's a first down. Blue Raiders threatening. Into the end zone, incomplete. Trying to find Tate. Some Middle offense last year that was 35th in the country in passing, 113th on the ground game. It's the first year for Mitch Stewart as the offensive coordinator for Rick Stockstill. And now 2nd and goal from the 9. They'll go 5 wide on the snap. Vattiato taken down. Chris Braswell with the sack for Alabama. And they let play continue to where that ball was finally covered up at the 14-yard line. And like Alabama was the only one who thought knew it was wide open.
Well, they're sliding in that direction. Right tackle Jayshawn Boye just doesn't get out wide enough, and Braswell is able to run the corner there. Now 3rd and goal here for Middle Tennessee.
Looks like Middle's running with a backup left tackle and Devin Hayes. 3rd down goal now. Vattiato pressured, and all he can do is throw it away. They got to him in a hurry. It was Deontay Lawson who told us in our meetings yesterday there is a new sense of excitement in the linebacker room because we know everybody has a chance to play and everybody in our group can play. Zeke Rankin will come on to attempt the field goal on 4th down. Call this a 31-yarder for the junior from just outside of Knoxville, Alcoa, Tennessee. Preseason second-team All-Conference USA. And it never had it. And what could have been a momentum drive for Rick Stockstill's team comes up empty in all ways. The quarterback pressure got to him, and then the missed kick. And Alabama is still pitching a shutout.
SEC Saturday Night is presented by T-Mobile 5G Home Internet, connecting homes across the SEC.
Yeah, legend back in the building. Eli Gold has returned to the broadcast booth for the Alabama Crimson Tide. His partner this year, Tyler Watts. Eli missed last year due to cancer, so he and Chris Stewart will share the play-by-play position today. First year in the booth was 1988. So good to see the legends of this league in college football still be around the game.
It's just not the same without him. It's not the same without the sound of his voice, which I think the opposite of you, Tom.
Yeah, many do. Many do. No gain on that first down run for Roy Del Williams. We'll see multiple quarterbacks. Nick Saban kind of following the radio trend, right? We'll see two different radio announcers. Eli for home games, Chris Stewart for road games. And Nick Saban said, we want Jalen Milroe to play well enough to get us to the next quarterback. Started off like that, first quarter plus, but have slowed since.
And you know what we haven't seen? I think he's been very accurate, very efficient. Haven't seen that explosive play downfield yet.
Issue with the snap, and then he whips it to the perimeter. And Kobe Prentice. That'll leave 3rd and 1.
Now this is just a rocket out of his hands, an out route. So it's a timing route from Jalen Milroe. His feet have been perfect tonight. Again, I did the breakdown because at times they were a little sloppy maybe last year.
Huge hole on the left side, including the tight end Amari Niblack helping.
Tell you what, if they are going to take a shot, it's going to be 17, Isaiah Bond, down here at the bottom. He can really stretch the field.
Milroe's only missed on one tonight. Pocket holds, he's got all day. And a little bit low and incomplete to Kobe Prentice.
Boy, I said Isaiah Bond, but Jermaine Burton had his man beat. I think you're going to see him at the top of the screen. I think Jalen Milroe came off it a little too soon. A little in and out. That is where you could go with the ball. Again, sometimes you think you have less time than you actually do to let that develop.
It leaves 2nd and 10. That one's caught for a gain of 4 by Prentice. Teldrick Ross, excuse me, on the coverage for Middle Tennessee State.
I had a fun conversation with Tommy Rees when we did the spring game.
Did he think that?
I don't know if he did or not. I thought it was fun. He was just amazed and noted at there's certain routes that he can do at Alabama because of the talent, speed, depth, size that they have at wide receiver that he just couldn't do at Notre Dame. And that was pretty interesting.
Interesting.
Notre Dame has competed at the highest level. They haven't taken that next step yet, but
pressure coming, and Milroe can't escape. Brought 2 extras, and Parker Hughes comes up with the sack and a loss of 6.
Yeah, this is one where you see the blitz. You know you have enough bodies. It's 6 on 6, but that urgency, that clock is got to be ticking a little bit faster. Had a slant route to Jermaine Burton. Could have got rid of the ball there. Don't hate the fact that he said, I'm going to use my legs.
Yeah.
Just got tripped up from behind. But those are those things that as a starter, or excuse me, not as a starter, he hasn't seen that much, right? He hasn't seen 2 linebackers come in knowing, hey, you're not hot, but you're warm. You got to get rid of the ball quicker than you think. That was one of those situations.
Nearly blocked. Burnup gets it away to Kellen Stewart, who takes a fair catch. 5:48 to go in the first half, and Alabama's up 14-0. Let's take a look at Fansville, brought to you by Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper's my favorite drink. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
We got a little bit of everything on that clip, didn't we?
Everything with Dr. Pepper.
This place is rocking. By the way, it's going to go to 11 next week. Texas comes to town.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, I don't know if you'd heard. Hadn't heard. Here's Jaden Cradle. And he gets pulled down after a gain of 5. Usually not a challenge with an unranked team coming to town. Alabama's won 74 straight. That's the second longest, the longest active streak in FBS. By the way, Texas knocked off Rice today 37-10. Bounce to the outside, and there's a first down for Middle. To put on the man on the moon. Why does Rice play Texas every year? So that one's back. That'll be a fun one next week with Quinn Ewers and company coming to town.
It's going to be massive. I mean, game day's here, Nation's here. McAfee's doing an extra show.
Are you breaking news that Nation is going to be here?
No, they broke it already.
Okay.
I hope.
Yeah, so too. Otherwise, the phone's going to ring. Nothing doing on that swing pass.
I think I saw it, but I mean, just think about how close that game was last year with Bryce and the Heisman Trophy player that he was. That's why we need to continue to see good quarterback play in this game. That question is not unanswered. Jalen has been sharp, but just 14 points here as the half wanes.
2nd and 9. Battiato to the slant, and that'll be just short of the first down. I leave 3rd and 1 now. DJ England Chisholm with the catch. Top 10 matchup, LSU and Florida State on Sunday night. 3rd and short, and they'll run it for the first down. And a fresh set of downs for Middle Tennessee State. And Shaquille Middlebrook with his first carry. Now 1st and 10. Hit as he throws. And intercepted! Jalen Key with the pick for Alabama. Only 7 picks last year for this Crimson Tide defense, the fewest in Nick Saban's tenure. And they get one in game number 1 from Jalen Key, the UAB transfer.
Just an unbelievable play by Key. Forces the vertical route on the inside, keeps eyes on the quarterback the entire way. Sets up Alabama. Gets some more points here before half.
Dari Doring-Watson, Regents halftime report right around the corner. We'll show you who is now leading. We just had a lead change in the battle for the Carolinas. Also #1 Georgia in action. You got what you just wanted from Bama, right?
Wanted some turnovers, only 7 interceptions last year. Jalen Key with the pick.
Talk to you all in a bit.
All right, Dari, thanks. Alabama ran a play, tried to go deep to Isaiah Bond. Trey Fluellen commits pass interference. And a first down gifted to Bama after that. This is, of course, following the interception.
Boy, and Fluellen is their best player on the back end, but struggling to stay stride for stride with Bond on a double move. That was actually a really good ball by Jalen Milroe. If Bond isn't tripped up there, probably hits him right in stride for a touchdown.
So 1st and 10 Alabama, 3:36 to play and a half. Milroe looking at an option pitch, instead tried to dump it, and it's batted away. And a great play kind of hanging in the middle there by Thomas. A season 2nd team All-Conference USA. I got the feeling talking with Nick Saban about the reins on Tommy Rees that he's given him a little bit more leeway than even Bill O'Brien had when he was the offensive coordinator here in terms of bringing in some more flavor of what Rees has done historically.
Yeah, I think there's reason to that, right? I think it's a little bit of a perfect storm.
And 2nd and 10, Milroe with the keeper, and he gets hog-tied, and they'll bring a flag on Richard Kinley. It'll be the 7th penalty against Middle Tennessee.
Personal foul, horse collar, defense number 0. Half the distance to the goal from the previous spot, first down.
And that is textbook inside the jersey and the shoulder pads. But going back to the freedom that Tommy Rees seems to have, at least implied by the play calling and what he's put in.
Yeah, I think it's because it's a perfect fit for what Tommy Rees came from and what he did well, which was physical, run game, especially in 12 personnel. And that's what Nick Saban wants to be. Not always in 12 personnel, but he wants to be a physical running team this year. And I think Tommy Rees is able to plug some of those runs and concepts in, as well as mix some stuff in for Jalen Milroe.
And here's some of that. Milroe takes off, and he's in for his 2nd rushing touchdown of the night. 13-yard run, and Amari Niblack, the tight end, made it possible. .307 to play, and Reichert on to make it a 21-point lead. Jalen Milroe with 2 rushing touchdowns tonight, averaging 4 yards a carry. Reichert punches it through.
So what we mentioned, 12 personnel plays from Tommy Rees. Here's 2 tight ends. One's going to go down, one's going to loop around, leave that defensive end for Jalen Milroe and his athleticism. You're seeing more creative runs out of 12 personnel. You're seeing more 12 personnel in general. Last year they only averaged 13 plays per game. This year, or this game, I think they're probably 15 or almost 20 now already. So you're seeing the fingerprints that Tommy Rees has put on the offense that is and was Alabama.
Now, there'll be about 2/3 of their possessions with 1 running back and 2 tight ends. And there's a lot of reasons for this, right? It's what Nick Saban wants to be, but also they don't have a 1,000-yard receiver coming back. There's not a lot of explosiveness on the perimeter. How do we find our points? And how many points is it going to take to win as offenses kind of come back to earth in college football?
Totally. I mean, college football's cyclical, right? I mean, 8 years ago was the tempo that was taking over college football. Points were through the roof because defenses were big and not as fast. Now everybody's catching up to tempo, recruiting more speed on defense, and here comes the physicality coming back into the game.
And no chance for a return here.
Following up with what you guys were saying about going back to this joyless murder ball style of football, we asked Coach Saban in our meetings, how much do the clock plays, the new clock rules, excuse me, have to do with the style of play that you want to go with, and maybe trying to mold your team a certain way? Tom, he told us that not really that much, but I don't know if I believe all of that. I think he knows that you're looking at a possession or 2 a game that's going to be stolen from a lot of teams, and if you can go even further than that and stress teams offensively with what they have to do and points they have to put up, with the way this team should be able to play defense, it's going to be a big advantage for Alabama.
Now, there's always what Nick Saban says, and then there's what he does. And you're going to lose 7, 8 plays a game per offense. It means obviously scoring is going to come down, as it has, and that's been the trend for years. So Alabama brings pressure, and they swing it out, but incomplete. Just look at the numbers. I was surprised when I saw this. The fact that yards per game and points per game in college football have been declining since 2016. Last year was the fewest since 2011. So what does that mean? You said it was cyclical. Bully ball wasn't really working in 2016, 17, and 18 even. That's why Lane Kiffin reinvented this stuff when he got here, because what Oregon had been doing before that. So is the pendulum swinging back, and is Nick Saban ahead of the curve, kind of like return to the joyless murder ball?
100%. Think about 2016, 17, 18. Tempo. You started recruiting linebackers that were 220, not 230, 215 even because of the speed. And you've done that for a few recruiting cycles. Now all of a sudden the physicality, you can push around a defense like that. And that's how Alabama's built.
Deontay Lawson with the sack. It's a loss of 12.
Boy, Lawson has been all over the place tonight. His speed off the edge. Watch this, coming straight off the edge again, unblocked. That's one of those that Vattiato has got to see pre-snap and protect himself or get rid of the ball quickly.
Third sack for Alabama tonight. And now Middle looking at a 3rd and 22. Vattiato pressured again and incomplete to Peasant. And Alabama's going to end up with good field position inside 2 minutes. Clock no longer stopping on first down outside of 2 minutes to play in each half. Saban talking about the clock rule. He thought that would have the most impact.
Game clock operator, please reset the game clock to 2:14. 2:14.
Kept running after an incomplete pass, but specifically the inability to call back-to-back timeouts, which is what he said cost him in the LSU 2-point conversion last year. They didn't have another one to use. Trey Turk to punt it away. They had the wrong personnel on the field. No pressure on Turk. And Kool-Aid McKinstry from about the 46. 2:05 to play after that 40-yard punt. Jalen Milroe so far tonight.
Look, I said Alabama needs a quarterback that can manage the game, complete the open throws when they are there, and that's what Jalen Milroe has done tonight. And then all of a sudden you let him take over the game with his athleticism. That's what makes him special. That's why his ceiling is so high. And if he can continue to be efficient with those intermediate throws, the quick game, that floor of his starts to rise as well. And I think that is what is most attractive about number 4 at quarterback for Alabama.
9 of 12 tonight.
He can make the plays that can win you a game, and as long as he limits those mistakes and doesn't lose you the game, Alabama's going to be in a great spot.
That's Alabama quarterback with 2 rushing touchdowns in the same game 2 years ago. Bryce against Tennessee. Milroe has all day. Now he's going to unload deep. Got a man! Touchdown! Isaiah Bond in Alabama. The deep ball is pretty, and Milroe and this Alabama offense has now found its rhythm and clicking to this point. 27-0. You've been watching I Love Lucy. I think Isaiah Bond has been watching Karate Kid. It's a throwback kind of night here in Tuscaloosa. The veteran Riker. 28-0.
We've talked about the speed of Isaiah Bond. You're going to get him on a deep post, a deep crosser. And here's what I love about this play. Isaiah Bond's going to attack and go deep, and Jalen Milroe has to worry about that safety. As soon as he gets the snap, he checks the safety to make sure he stays low. Looks left, stays low, gets his eyes on Isaiah Bond. This is what I love. He doesn't throw it on a line. He throws it across the field. Allow your fast receiver to run away from the defender. At times, Milroe, because his arm is so strong, he has a tendency to put it on a line and throw it at guys instead of putting air under it and leading his receivers. That was a perfect throw from number 4.
Did it take a pretty big hit as well there, Jordan.
Probably a pretty good phone call, huh?
Yeah, it was a quick phone call. You see that? Tommy goes, hey, nice throw. Let's do it again.
Thanks. 1:58 to play in the first half. Milroe 10 of 13 for 112. Any reason to take the headset off now for a moment? There's always been question about this quarterback situation, and they said, well, he's going to play well enough. We'll get to the next guy. I said, I hate to bring this up, but what if he doesn't play well enough. And then you go to the next guy. Tommy Rees said, well, then coach will tell me when we do that. But this is about as good as you could hope for in this scenario.
No doubt, especially because I think they did go through a little bit of a lull there at the end of the second quarter, or towards the end of the second quarter, and he rebounded. Right halfway through that second quarter, like, man, they got to get something going. Big run by him, big throw by him, got this offense back on track.
Kill Middlebrook with his second total tonight. That gives him 12 and a first down. It's never going to be easy, and it's never going to be perfect. So what do you hope for as a quarterback and a coordinator?
Consistent growth, right? That you can go through adversity. You can go through a couple bad throws, a bad read, a blitz that you missed, and you can come back and correct that mistake and do it right the next time. And we've seen that from Milroe a few times already tonight.
90 seconds left in the half. Mariano 12 of 21 for 63 yards. Bam has held Middle to 3 1/3 yards per snap tonight. We'll try to run it again and pick up a couple. Third down. And Alabama, I believe, Middle Tennessee used the timeout with 1:04 to play, looking at a 3rd and 6. It's kind of thinking maybe Bama would use a timeout to stop it and get it back, but this is an opportunity for continue to work on what they do well.
No doubt, getting the right personnel group in there, talking through your keys on third down. These are those moments that you need to emphasize those coaching points.
Yeah.
So you don't give up a long play that you shouldn't right before half.
Rick Stockstill going over his notes. Ian Saban, two of the longest tenured in FBS head coaches, along with Kirk Ferentz and Kyle Whittingham. Iowa scored 2 touchdowns in the first quarter today. What's going on
Barn
there?
burner.
Give that coordinator a bonus. 3rd and 6, 4-man rush, and incomplete. And Middle Tennessee will punt it away again.
Or those TE games, tackle end games, are really causing problems for Middle Tennessee. That time, Alabama's best pass rusher, Dallas Turner, was the one that was opening up the hole.
They've rotated punters. This will be Miles Tillman. Gets it off clean. McKinstry makes a fair catch back at the 12-yard line. I know you're excited this summer to see another episode of Bama Rush. Let's take you to bid day 23, the quarterback situation. Nick Saban saying, who is going to get my bid? Well, you go in that house, there's some hardware. Nick's got the picture hanging out in the lobby, and you get some candidates to join the house, and that is a great house.
They didn't really dress to impress there, you know. The other guys are all suited up, and
I was thinking
T-shirts on the benches. Come on.
The other quarterback should have at least had a song and dance routine.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know,
got to.
Touchdown from Milroe was his longest career completion. And now under a minute to play here in the first half. And Roydell Williams is able to shove his way forward for a few. It's a gain of 5. I wonder, 28-point first half, if we'll even see Milroe in the second half. What is your guess right now? Because I'm sure Cole will come up with a question about that.
I think you absolutely see Milroe because you have a big matchup next week. And you got a guy that until today had only started 1 football game. So I think you want to be able to make corrections or talk about some things at halftime and then go out there and execute.
And a first down run again from Roydell Williams.
Probably not the whole second half, right?
But at least a possession.
A possession or two, absolutely.
And we'll get the ball to start the second half.
Timeout.
Take a timeout here with 11
Alabama.
seconds to play in the half.
It's their first. It will be 30 seconds.
I tell you what, if you play him a lot in the second half, you're saying he's our guy and we don't want to play two.
Right.
Right? And that's about getting up to speed and efficiency for next week.
And it seems like, again, he was the leader in the clubhouse. He was named the starter. There was a competition all fall. Sure seems like that he's done enough to say, I can do this again next week. Yeah, you definitely need to see Buckner, Ty Simpson, in whatever order and however you want to see them coming up. But you definitely want to have an identity going into next week against Texas. And right now that identity seems some shot plays, ball control pass plays for Milroe, and unique running plays designed for him out of 12 personnel.
And even those that aren't designed can be dangerous. Middle brought pressure. Milroe trying to get out of it. And he's able to scramble forward for a gain of 4. Jonathan Butler with the tackle. Coming up at the half, you can watch the live performance from the $1 Million Band on SEC Network Plus. Starts streaming now on the ESPN app. Well, Alabama ran 35 plays in the first half for 211 yards. Jalen Milroe 10 of 13 for 112 and a touchdown. 2 touchdown runs. Nick Saban's with Cole.
Coach Saban, the obvious, a couple of nice throws, a couple of nice runs from Jalen Milroe. What did you see that you liked from your quarterback?
Well, I don't think it's about him. I think we got to control the line of scrimmage a little better. You know, protection broke down a couple times. We got people open. We got to make more explosive plays, but we got to be able to protect. We knew they're going to pressure. So, you know, I like the way he played. I don't think he didn't do anything bad.
Defensively, I know you like the pass rush you saw in the first half.
Yeah, but, you know, they got us a little confused with some of these formations and motions and all that. So we got to keep adjusting and get our guys settled down, and we got to keep putting pressure on the quarterback and affecting the quarterback.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
An Alabama defense coming up with 3 sacks and a pick here in this first half. It's a shutout, 28-0. Let's get you back to the studio. Here's Dari and the fellas.
All righty, Tom, thank you much. It is the Regions Halftime Report.
Welcome back to SEC Saturday Night, presented by T-Mobile 5G Home Internet. Ryan-Denny Stadium is a site here in Tuscaloosa. Nick Saban has never lost a home opener as Alabama's head coach. Doesn't look like he will tonight. 28-0 is our score at the half. Get ready for the second. Tom Hart alongside Jordan Rogers. Thoughts on the first half?
I thought Milroe did what he needed to do. He made the easy look easy, hit a couple big plays downfield. I mean, was dynamic with his feet at times. Was it perfect? No, but it's something to build off for a guy that before tonight only had 1 career start, looking down the pipe of Texas coming into town next week.
A lot new here with Alabama. What's not new is a punishing offensive line. Cole getting it done tonight.
Just a little bit bigger might be what's new. This double team between the right guard, right tackle, Darian Dalcourt, J.C. Latham. Watch the movement at the initial point of attack and then popping off on a linebacker and continuing that movement. That's 2-3 yards off the football. Linebacker just bounces off Dalcourt. And here's what I love, J.C. Latham. Get him out of the screen. Just get him out of there. That is a man that benched 505 for 2 reps. Jordan Rogers, 2 reps. J.C. Latham, 505 bench for 2. I'm not sure I've heard of that before.
That's not fair.
No. Not right.
Like, it's like, hey, you bench too much. We don't even want to know what the 1 rep is. Like, you don't even need to bench that much.
And I spoke to strength coach David Ballou about it. He said, Cole, we stopped it. He said, you're done. You're not going anymore. He's like, dude, you just did 505 for 2. What else are we trying to prove here? But I guess we could talk about him squatting 900 pounds with resistance bands on also.
Yeah, how about, Tom, what's the most you ever benched for 2?
For 2? I never stop at 2, so I can't answer that question. How much is the bar weigh?
45. Yeah. So you put 5s on each side.
That's
right.
55.
That's my
let's
guy.
build up. Oh boy. So Jalen Milroe will be out there to start the second half. Nick Saban telling Cole at the break, listen, not all about the quarterback, but then he came around, said did a lot of things well. They want a little bit more protection. He was sacked twice and went 10 of 13 for 112 yards in the first half.
Oh, part of that protection is also play calling, because think about last year. It was such a QB-centric offense. Bryce made all those checks to the line of scrimmage. I don't think they've given Milroe that complete freedom yet, I think they're feeling that out. So as he gets more experience under his belt, he will have the opportunity to change some of those more frequently.
A passing touchdown and 2 rushing touchdowns for Milroe in the first half. They'll keep it on the ground here. It's only the 4th time an Alabama player has had at least 1 passing touchdown and 2 rush TDs in a single half in the last 20 seasons. The others were done by Jalen Hurts, twice in 16 and once in 17, including the opener against USC in 16. They rolled up 52-6 with Kiffin as the OC. Ja'Cory Brooks in the game. He's in the slot, number 7. Did not see him in the first half. He's going deep. Milroe's going to him. Little push off and incomplete. Jacoby Thomas had the coverage for middle.
So we mentioned Ja'Cory was out the first half, but this is how dynamic he can be. Second leading receiver for Alabama coming back. A little underthrown there from Jalen. To go back and look and see if his feet were set. One of those things that we talked about earlier that leads to some of those miscues.
First time since 2017 Alabama does not return a 1,000-yard receiver. Getting a good look on 3rd and 10. Milroe, a little bit of pressure, and then he takes off running. They had a spy on him. He got put on his back, and Milroe takes it to midfield. He is dynamic. That's good for 25.
Yeah, they spied Milroe. They knew this was going to happen, but Tyler Booker goes, oh, this is the spy, and threw him on his back.
That was great.
Are you kidding?
That's a bad spy. Milroe into coverage and incomplete. Trying to find Brooks. Cole didn't another look at that last play.
I mean, watch Tyler Booker, 52, right here. He's going to find the spy, Jonathan Butler, and go, hey, what are you doing right here? Hey, kid, sit down. I always heard it for defenders, don't jump in front of a big offensive lineman.
No.
Because that's what happens.
Little juke in the backfield. Jam Miller gets his first opportunity here in the second half. Picks up 2. 5'10", 211 sophomore out of Legacy High School, Tyler, Texas. Talking with Tommy Reese about this running back room. He said, man, there's a real hunger in this group. And as he gave us a scouting report on each guy, it seemed like each of the 4 or maybe 5 we'll see throughout the season brought a different dynamic to the table. He said that Miller had big runs every scrimmage they played. Milroe going deep again and caught. Touchdown, Jermaine Burton, 48 yards. 5th touchdown in the last 5 games, dating to last season for Burton, the Georgia transfer who closed by putting up some big numbers last year.
Boy, that's the second time Burton has gotten behind the coverage. This time Milroe hit him right in stride, and that's what we're talking about. It doesn't have to be perfect all the time. You'll make mistakes, but are you correcting those mistakes?
Yep.
2 underthrown balls, excuse me, 1 underthrown ball, couple plays earlier, comes right back and puts it right on Burton.
Touchdown passes of 47 and 48 yards for Jalen Milroe tonight.
And Jermaine Burton, their best wide receiver last year, their best this year, great route runner, and developing that chemistry with Jalen Milroe. That's a scary sight for every other team.
Well, Mr. Brightside rocking, and a lot to be excited about for Alabama. This is just a precursor now of 35-0 with Texas coming to town next week. 21 straight home opener wins. Nick Saban has only lost his opener 3 times. By the way, one of those, Cole, was when he was at Michigan State playing Colorado State, who just moved one of their fullbacks to linebacker or defensive end, a guy by the name of Joey Porter. Remember him? Pretty good player. Now coaching him up in the X. Fair catch asked for, but then bobbled and then taken down at the 8. I thought he put his arm up for the fair catch, which obviously you have to complete, but then you can't advance it even if you fumble it. So they might move it back a yard, but Middle retains possession. Oop. Should be right there at the 6. Well, that's got to get your heart rate up, huh?
Oh,
your return, dude.
Nightmare. Just smash the panic button.
Nick Vattiato, 12 of 22 for 63 yards. He wants to block Vattiato. Toss to Peasant, who it's taken down by Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs is a young player in that secondary. Been working a lot with Travaris Robinson, and they love what he brings to the table.
I talked to T-Rob about him, Tom. He said, Cole, all through recruiting, the only thing he talked to us about was being a better football player. He didn't care about the stadium and the lights and the weight room and all the waterfalls and everything. He said, show me how I'm going to be a better player, man. That's all I wanted to do. Wanted to study film with T-Rob and Coach Saban. That was what he thought was most important. T-Rob told me he's one of the smartest DBs he's ever been around, and he treats it like a pro right now. I said, that's his demeanor, that's his attitude. He said, finally, Cole, he said, he comes to my house a couple weeks ago. My kids have this Rubik's Cube. They can never put it together. They can never actually figure it out. He's like, and I think my kids are pretty smart. Now, that's T-Rob saying that, but he said, listen, Caleb Downs comes in there. All the other DBs are there. My kid comes in and hands it to me after like 3 minutes. He's like, what's this? He said, one of the guys did it. He figured it out. He said, sure enough, Caleb Downs got the Rubik's Cube in like 3 minutes.
That Gary was the running back coach at East Tennessee State after being in the league with the Giants and Broncos and Falcons. His uncle is Dre Bly, two-time Pro Bowler. And they get pressure in the middle backfield. Deontay Lawson with the stop. It turns into a gain of 2. And that'll bring up 4th down.
Yeah, Alabama defensive front is really taking over the game. You notice in Middle Tennessee trying to exploit the perimeter as much as possible with some of those runs, toss play to the perimeter, getting the ball quickly on the perimeter. They just cannot move this defensive front for the last 2.5 quarters.
Think about saying that, Jordan. They can't move them, but Alabama has not been playing very heavy personnel the last quarter and a half.
Tillman on to punt it away from the end zone.
Timeout. Middle Tennessee, their first.
The guess is the Middle had to use that timeout to get their second number 38 off the field. There's 2 38s out there right now, which obviously is a no-no. One of them is the punter, so I'm sure he's like, hey, I ain't leaving. I got to be out here. They're going to be really mad if I'm not out here. Let's see if they get the second one off or not. Well, Alabama has a challenger. There's no doubt about it. Under Nick Saban, the GOAT. Won 88% of his games since he's been here. 15 consecutive seasons. Alabama has taken over the #1 spot in the country. Preseason top 5 once again, and 6-time national champions. By the way, they still have 2 38s out there.
It's a bold move, Cop.
They didn't catch him the first time, I don't think. The second 38 is the
that
up back.
guy and that guy.
That one drove McKinstry back inside the 30. Steps through the first. Steps through the next 2. Here goes Kool-Aid McKinstry. And he finally gets tripped up at the 35-yard line. 59-yard punt. 32 on the return.
Well, this is what makes him such a good corner. He's so fluid, so athletic. Great balance as you see a couple times on this cutback run. Some good blocking out in front as well. And a couple times, a couple of his guys shielded off some defenders. Really smart plays.
One area of concern, Malachi Moore playing special teams was just helped off the field by the athletic training staff. Looked like an ankle injury as he came over to the bench, and Kool-Aid took a shot at the tail end. Here's a little toss sweep. Isaiah Bond. I tell you what, if you see Kool-Aid McKinstry limping a little bit and then Malachi Moore goes into the tent, it might be time to say, hold on. We got Sark and the future SEC foes coming in next week.
Yeah, take the foot off the gas a little bit, because Malachi Moore is one of the most important pieces for this entire defense. Played mostly safety all spring, found his way back to that star position because he's so versatile, so good at rushing the passer, playing in different scenarios, playing in space. Let's hope they just spat that up and he's okay.
Lob on 2nd and 5. It's caught. Touchdown, Alabama. Amari Niblack. 29-yard touchdown pass from Milroe, his 3rd of the night. Well, he is labeled a matchup problem, and that's what he was on that last play. Kick is good, 42-0.
Boy, great job of play action. Watch this play action, how it affects this safety right here, which allows Niblack to run right down the middle, past the field safety. And Milroe did a great job of using touch, putting that right out in front.
It helped when you have a tight end that runs 21.8 miles per hour on the GPS.
That helps.
Just my 2 cents, maybe.
Doreen Oke in studio. Let's take a look at the road to the championship. Brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Georgia starting what they hope is down the road to a 3rd straight national title. Carson Beck finds Mekhi Hughes. That's the first touchdown pass the season for the new Georgia starter. He finishes with 294 through the air. Dogs roll after a slow start.
Not a bad way to start. Alabama's pitching a shutout, so they may have the advantage there, 42-0. By the way, Ty Simpson's dad is the head coach of the UT Martin team that went between the hedges today. Joe Moorhead's already offered his little brother scholarship. This one through the back of the end zone. Injury on that kickoff return. Malachi Moore on special teams.
Again, Nick Saban is one of those coaches that loves his best players playing on special teams.
Like his left ankle.
Yeah. Left ankle, walk back to the locker room. At this point, 3rd quarter, Texas on the horizon.
Well, let's dive into just a half second why Nick Saban wants his guys on special teams.
Yeah.
Number one, it's about creating value for them to be more valuable at the next level.
Yeah, no doubt.
First down, middle swings it out, and Elijah Metcalf cut down. But there's something to be said for the game that's on the horizon. It's still, you know, for another year, a non-conference game, but this is a big matchup for a team that has designs on reaching the college football playoff.
I mean, think about it. It's going to set the tone for the last time before they come in the SEC, and it really becomes more of a rivalry. Last year was a nail-biter, and whatever happens this year is going to set the tone for Texas coming in to the SEC in 2024.
2nd and 7. They go with the sweep. Cole, we were sitting with Sark not too long ago before their bowl game in San Antonio, and we talked to him about Texas changing its recruiting philosophy by looking more like an SEC team up front. Have they accomplished that?
I think they have. The last 2-3 offensive line classes they put together have been pretty good. They got all 5 starters back on that offensive line. Probably have a first, at worst, 2nd round draft pick over at left tackle. And the defensive tackles, the interior defensive linemen, are on par with the majority of SEC groups that you're going to see. So that'll be a fun battle to watch next weekend as well.
3rd down 9. Extra man coming, and they get it outside, and a fantastic play made on the ball immediately by Trey Amos.
This is the MO of Middle Tennessee, these quick screens to the outside. Amos does a really good job of reading that. Usually it's the outside guy that gets that screen if someone's going to block the corner. Middle Tennessee switched it up that time, and he diagnosed it really quick. I got to say, though, I keep looking up, and I keep seeing Deontay Lawson around the football.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. The speed he has going sideline to sideline, let alone he's been blowing up the backfield left and right. He's having a game.
From the 19, McKinstry. Oh, man, he got planted. Tried to bunt to the outside, and that one will be targeting. Middle already lost one of its starting cornerbacks to open the game, and Jalen Davis may not be long for this one.
Personal foul, targeting, kicking team number 12. The previous play is under video review.
All right, so important where he makes contact, right? Because not a defenseless player. He's a runner. So therefore, it's got to be crown to the helmet.
Here's what I see.
Yeah.
I don't see crown of the helmet.
Right.
But yet I still see targeting. I know by rule it's not targeting.
Right, I know.
That's like almost like an old school spearing play.
Totally, because there's a big indicator there. So, again, one of these that I feel like the last one, too, was also kind of a little gray area.
And by the way, this is the second straight return that McKinstry's gotten banged up on one way or another. And it's a reminder, as you watch that play being made by the defender, targeting is not just in the game to protect the ball carrier, it's also there to protect the guy who's making the tackle. That was very dangerous.
Yeah, he lowers his head like that. That's the indicator. Forcible contact.
After video review, there is no foul for targeting. It'll be first down, Alabama at the 25-yard line.
So I was just about to say, lowers his head. There's the indicator. Forcible contact, but it was not crown, and that crown was redefined very specifically to take out the side of the helmet, the face mask. This is a violent hit, and yes, he's gonna be hearing it on Sunday. You can't dip your head like that.
Yeah. So Alabama will go to Tyler Buchner now at quarterback. Notre Dame transfer. San Diego native. Last year was starting quarterback for Notre Dame, then injured and didn't return until the bowl game against South Carolina. So there are definite benefits. We talked a lot about how Tommy Rees has brought his system, pieces of it, into what Alabama has done for years. And he said, you know, there's some terminology that would be backwards. We call it, well, one thing in Notre Dame, and now it's different here. But Buchner's getting the entire quarterback room on the same page, and that was his focus in the offseason.
Yeah, he was definitely behind the 8 ball in the quarterback competition because he showed up in summer, and it is a new offense despite his old offensive coordinator being at the helm. But you mentioned it. Tommy can kind of translate some of those things to expedite the learning process for Buchner, and that's what he's done.
Hands it off to Justice Haynes, a freshman out of Buford, Georgia. Rees was talking to us about Buchner. He said he brought the group together as one, and that was an emphasis coming out of the spring. We want the entire quarterback room to have success, not just one guy, and so he can help with that transition and guys learning me. And listen, Tommy Rees doesn't show it now. He can be as fiery as a coach is out there in college football.
I think we've all seen the video at Notre Dame. I mean, every offensive coordinator can. It's an emotional sport, right? But that's where Buchner, knowing Tommy so well, can
try to go deep,
help, you know, translate and communicate a little bit of what Rees is saying.
Yeah.
Reading between the lines.
I just think that is so valuable in sports when you have a coach who is demanding and challenging for younger players who don't know him that well. You need someone who has that experience to say, hey, he was on your back today, but let me tell you, tomorrow he's going to pat you on the back.
Yeah.
And this is his MO, and it's all to make you better. Kellen Stewart back to receive. Oh, and it'll bring a flag, catch interference. And Middle will end up with good field position after a 55-yard punt. And then the flag.
We'll say the good news for Alabama, that's just the second penalty all game on them, and that was a huge issue last year. They were 123rd in the nation in penalty yards per
and
game.
in big games. That Texas game was an issue. Tennessee game was an issue.
So Saban's got to be pretty happy with that aspect. Obviously, there's still a quarter and a half here to go, but much cleaner game from Alabama than we saw at times last year.
There are 2 fouls on the play, 1 on each team. Blocking the back, return team number 27. Kick catch interference, kicking team number 19. Those fouls will offset and will replay 4th down.
Well, let's try it again.
Still only 1 penalty then, right?
That's right. We need more redos in life. Like, they just do it over.
Just a
You both got
mulligan.
flag? Yeah. Another one on the tee. Don't worry about it.
I always ask that when I, calculate my taxes. Can I just do a mulligan on that one, maybe? Just
get it back.
Yeah.
And so Burnip will try it again. Averaged 42 yards a punt last year. Alabama averaging 7 yards a play tonight and nearly 5 yards a carry. Middle will have it at about the 32-yard line. Seems like the night is done for Jalen Milroe, who made history tonight. First player with 2 rushing touchdowns and 3 passing touchdowns in Alabama history.
Boy, we've been talking about bully ball a lot tonight on the offensive side. How about the defensive side of the football? They have been physical on the outside, and they have been all over Vattiato in the backfield all night. This is a brand of football that Alabama wants to be, yes, on the offensive side, but they want to be physically imposing and violent on the defensive side, and they have been tonight.
Well, misdirection. They're going to try to run it with Middlebrook, and he ends up losing the yard. Kevin Steele back in town, defensive coordinator under head coach Nick Saban. A little bit of carryover and some new stuff. By the way, he was at Miami last year. A bunch of new guys when Middle went down there and won the game.
Yeah, it's not vengeance he's after, though. It's a reckoning. A little tombstone for you in the 3rd quarter. Why not?
That wasn't black and white when you saw it. 2nd and 11. Here's Middlebrook, and he's got a first down and into Bama territory. Well, Dallas Turner, make any bones about it, what they're out to do this year. The expectation is joyless murder ball.
I'd love for Cole to explain the definition of joyless murder ball.
I can't do it because my brain doesn't recognize people who don't enjoy it. So
it's just life for you.
How do you
every
not
day.
enjoy just pummeling people?
Go to the slant, and that one's caught and good for a first down.
That is true. Shouldn't it be joyful murder ball, if you're the one inflicting the pain?
The origination of it came from Mark Ennis, who's, I believe, he's a Louisville media member. I think he had a radio show at the time. And his observation of just watching Alabama a few years ago just pound everybody in submission couldn't have been that much fun, right? It's joyless murder ball. But then the Bama fans said, actually, we love it. That's exactly who we want to be.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I was talking to Travaris Robinson, secondary coach, and he was telling me just about Saban's approach this offseason. I kind of asked him what's been different about it, and he said, you know, there was a lot of talk about winning championships and being a champion and what it takes to win a championship last year. He said a lot more of the focus this year has gone to just whipping the guy in front of you and being able to dominate the person in front of you, winning your one-on-ones, and physically being able to impose your will on the person across the football from you.
To the screen. You know, Cole, remember we came here Kiffin's first year, and the conversation was when Lane got here as the offensive coordinator, he had to convince Saban to change what they were going to be offensively. That was about the time when Nick Saban said, is this what we want college football to be? And the answer at the point was a resounding yes. Yet there are still things that Alabama did offensively, especially down in the red zone, that never changed. Even if they were spread and no huddle, it was very pro style. And he got up on the grease board one day, this must have been 14 or 15, and he said, what I love about it is everybody has a job, and if you get to a situation where it's just spread and we're making stuff up on the fly, sometimes you don't have a personal responsibility. But his point was, go get your guy when we got to get it in the end zone.
And I think there are a lot of Alabama fans last year, Tom, that would disagree with you inside the 5-yard line and say, why are we in gun? Why are we throwing a slant? Why are we throwing the ball out of the backfield, flare out into the flat? And it was frustrating for a lot of those Alabama fans with that expectation being what you said it normally is.
Little polecat look here from middle. They get two offensive linemen split to the near side. And DJ Riles in to take the snap at quarterback. And he'll take off and lost his footing.
Polecat?
Yeah, what did you call it? Throw offensive lineman out to.
We called it fight song.
Oh, fight song.
Because every time we ran it, cue it up, baby.
Whose fight song was playing?
Ours.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Has a fight song.
Oh, wow. Oh, touche. Okay. Here we go.
Hey, Saban wasn't above giving you some grief about you not being here the last time you were here.
Yeah. Yeah, last time I was here, I don't have great recollection of, because Mark Barron decided to hit me as hard as humanly possible, and I proceeded to not really remember what I had for breakfast. But Saban got a good laugh about that.
Saban on the call said, well, it's your fault. You're on the wrong team.
He did. And I said, you're right. Speaking of those huge linemen you have, mine were 250 at right tackle and 260 maybe at left tackle. So in other words, Alabama's tackles tonight outweighed mine at Vanderbilt by over 100 pounds each.
Game has changed.
No wonder I didn't know how I got there or what I had for breakfast.
These two tackles' lean body mass was heavier than your tackle.
Yes, that is true. And bless their heart, they wanted to be good, and they were. Wes Johnson, my left tackle, Wes Johnson, he played in the NFL. He was 260 pounds. It just, at some point, you need a little more mass.
Middle putting it together a drive, little toss on 2nd and goal, and wow, that was a D. Cleater coming from Jaheim Oates.
Yeah, running the football, getting north and south. The last thing you want to see is number 91 at 6'5", 320.
How about he's down to 308?
Oh,
Amy Bragg told me. 308. Young man showed up at Alabama at 417.6.
Jeez.
He's going to play some in this year. He's widening out for him a little bit. That athleticism showing up there.
Recruiting started back in 8th grade in Columbia, Mississippi. 3rd and goal. Play clock winding down. And they just get it off with a slant and into the end zone. And Middle spoils the shutout with a 7-yard touchdown pass to Bryce Bailey.
My great play design here. A little rub route. Inside receiver is going to release vertical. Outside receiver is going to be on a slant. The issue here is when DBs are playing on the same level on the outside as Alabama's were, they're trying to pass that off. Right? Remember the Super Bowl where Seattle ran the slant down the goal line, Patriots picked it off? Well, he was able to cut that slant route, same concept we just saw, because he was playing off the ball. Right? So if you're on the ball, you want to use those rub routes, and you got to switch it off if you're Alabama, and they weren't quite quick enough to switch that one off.
11 plays, 68-yard drive. Zeke Rankin for the point after. Not a great snap, but a fantastic recovery in the hold. So Middle finally on the board. 32 seconds left in the third quarter. Let's take a look at tonight's high-speed play. Brought to you by T-Mobile 5G Home Internet. And everything Jalen Milroe tonight, everything he did looked really good, including this.
And well, Cole mentioned it, last guy that had a play like this, he was pretty good at football. His name was Johnny. Milroe had some of that in him all night, but what I love as well, stared down the barrel when he needed to and hit some big plays downfield. Took a huge hit on that one, probably his best throw all night downfield to Isaiah Bond. And yeah, kid, you can flex on him after that.
It's 13 of 18 for 194.
Got to feel good, right, for Jalen. I mean, all the talk all offseason, all fall camp was the quarterback competition. So much so that another quarterback was added after spring ball. That can't feel good as a guy that expects to be the starter. But
and going back to that spring, Jalen Milroe could have transferred.
Yeah,
could have gone to a lot of places. Totally. Would love to have his talent. He came in the coach's office and he said, "I'm not leaving. I'm here to compete."
And through all the noise, even in camp, even as recent as a week ago, people wondering who it's going to be, whether it should be him or not. To come out here, and it is MTSU, and you're a better football team, but to show the things he has shown, the growth that he has, he should be proud of his performance tonight.
Turn out to the 23-yard line. He's putting his name in the record book. And look at the numbers they put up from passing perspective their last 6 seasons.
And I think they could be a really dominant team. And Milroe's right around 3,000. You know what I mean? Yeah. Adding another 700 on the ground. I mean, that'd be a dynamic season. And with how they can run the football, how they're built, they can absolutely win championships with that kind of production out of the quarterback position. Doesn't need to be 4,000 or 5,000 with this offense this year.
Well, I think the fascinating question going forward will be, joyless murder ball and bully ball can win games during the regular season. What's it going to take to win games in the postseason? Georgia looks like it's going to be high octane again this season. New quarterback, best tight end in the country, great wide receiver room. They're going to score a lot of points. You got to beat them head to head. You're going to have to put up a lot.
No doubt.
Alabama putting up a lot tonight. Jalen Milroe all smiles. Threw for 3 and ran for 2. We head to the fourth quarter in Tuscaloosa. We enter the fourth quarter. Bryant Denny, Alabama on top of Middle Tennessee State, 42-7. You'll be here next week with Nation prior to the Texas game. Can we get you to make it over to Starkville for our game, or are you going to be tempted just to stay here?
Yeah, I might just ride a bike over.
You could.
What is that, like 70 miles?
Sure.
We'll say that.
Just don't speed through Gordo. 2nd and 8. Tyler Buckner, quarterback, dropped the snap, recovered to fire, and that's good for a first down.
Well, when I went back and watched the Notre Dame film, this is what jumped out to me from Tyler Buckner. His ability to manipulate the trajectory, get the ball up and down over those linebackers, especially down the middle of the field. Watch how he layers this football right over the linebacker. Great spot for the athletic Niblack there, who his role has been expanding.
Yeah.
Tommy Rees even mentioned there might not be a guy on this team that carved out more of a role for himself this fall camp than Amari Niblack.
Buckner kind of goes sidearm a little bit to get it out to Isaiah Bond. I think it's got to help Niblack because his reputation coming in Lakewood High School was that he lacked run blocking experience. really hard to get on the field for Alabama if you're one tight end and you don't have much run blocking experience. But if there's another tight end or two other tight ends in the game, takes a little off your plate.
Totally. And actually, I've been watching him. He's been pretty solid in the run blocking department tonight as well. But he's so dynamic. You're right. If you have one tight end that can block and he can stretch the field, makes you really dangerous out of that 12 personnel. One running back, two tight ends.
C.J. Dupree is in there as well, playing some tight end. Maryland transfer.
I just thought Jordan was about to give us a dead serious breakdown of Notre Dame film with Tyler Buchner handling bad snaps.
I kind of thought he was going there too.
You want me to?
Hey, listen, the two bad snaps they've had tonight have resulted in first downs.
Yeah, so maybe dial that up again.
It's a trick play. Buchner played his high school ball at Bishop School in San Diego. He was injured most of his sophomore year, so he barely played. What a catch made by Jermaine Burton. It's good for a first down.
What great accurate throw. Watch the hit that Buchner takes here as he's letting this one go.
So then Buchner transferred for what would have been his senior season going to Helix High School, but they didn't play the season. COVID got in the way of that. He was an Under Armour All-American, but kind of limited in terms of his playing time. And of course, last year at Notre Dame, injured for a good chunk of the season. Grew for 273 yards and 3 touchdowns all of last season.
This is great for him because he's just got to play more football.
Yeah.
Right. Only 3 games last year, only 1 game in 2021 with significant playing time. You mentioned his high school background. Very valuable reps as he takes a shot here deep.
Into the end zone and incomplete. Jalen Hale was the intended receiver and got tied up with Jalen Jackson.
That's a young man I think 4 or 5 weeks from now Alabama fans might be hearing a little bit more of. Jalen Hale, when you watch him in practice, you hear some of the coaches talk about his ceiling, a guy that really could be busting into the lineup after he gets a few more reps.
Well, there's depth in the wide receiver room and there is some experience, but there just hasn't been consistency and explosiveness.
No doubt. And I think Jermaine Burton has been the most consistent. That's why I came to this game saying really looking forward to see Isaiah Bond take a much bigger role, which I think he will. Haven't talked a lot about Malik Benson. I don't think he got a target tonight, but he's a guy that could also stretch the field, help out with some of those explosive plays.
Offsides. Defense number 92. Jumped in the neutral zone, causing the offense to react. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
If it's still 3rd down, it's going to be 3rd and
Correction.
inches.
The 5-yard penalty makes it first down.
So fresh set of downs for Tyler Buchner. Yeah, Benson came in with great accolades. #1 junior college player in the country last year. And they had a clock issue pre-snap.
I can't wait to look up the numbers after this game on how much 12 personnel, 2 tight end sets they were in. I mean, once again, 2 tight ends here on the field. I mean, off the top of my head, it feels like every other play almost. It's probably not quite, but
it's Robbie Oots behind Dupree, and they create a lot of space on the left side for Justice Haynes. And he does his own work at the tail end. Pickup of 17. Those 2 tight ends, road graders.
Boy, watch the down blocks. Watch the movement that these tight ends get. Sealing that edge, body on a body. I mean, they push their guys all the way back past the center.
Big Caden Proctor getting in there as well, 369 pounds. That's a young man that turned 18 years old in June.
He drew the ire of all of his home state fans when he had committed to Iowa, and then on signing day flipped. Now, we got a little bit of insight of that from J.C. Latham, who hosted him on his recruiting trip. And he said, yeah, listen, I told the coaches, he's flipping. The dude wants to be here. And one of the things he said, and he was quoted, he said, I feel like I'd be settling if I stayed at Iowa. And I know to get better, I got to go against the best. And sometimes that means being hit in the mouth. J.C. told us that story. He said, y'all wouldn't believe it. First practice out, first time we get padded up, my man got hit right in the mouth. I don't know if anybody wants to deliberately hit Caden Proctor in the mouth as Latham comes off the field.
Also kind of love they did a curtain call for the starting offensive line there. You see that?
Buckner to the outside and to the end zone. 9-yard touchdown run for the Notre Dame transfer.
It's a really underrated part of his game. Had 2 rushing touchdowns in the Gator Bowl last year. Notre Dame beat South Carolina. I mean, he's not Jalen Milroe, but he's got plenty of athleticism. He can make every read, every run. Just not quite the 4.3, 4.4 guy that Milroe is, but got to respect him.
Reichard remains perfect on the night. Tyler Buckner with a touchdown run. It's a 42-point Bama lead. What a night for Alabama. 49-7 is the score. Only one blemish there defensively, but they've been fantastic with some 2 quarterbacks so far. And a Bama offense averaging better than 7 yards of play. How about our primetime performers in the SEC today? Jackson Dart threw for 334 and 4. Ole Miss hung 73 on Mercer. May Davis left Vandy, now Kentucky. He ran for a couple. Kentucky beat Ball State 44-14. And Woody Marks 127 and 2 touchdowns for State. They won 48-7. Pretty good outing. Let's get it to Laura Rutledge and our friends at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Wherever fun happens, Academy Sports and Outdoors is there.
Big numbers put up by SEC teams today. Auburn won 59-14 over UMass. 7 tackles for losses and 4 sacks for that Auburn defense. They played a couple quarterbacks. Robbie Ashford, 3 touchdowns on the ground. And Middle's going to go with DJ Riles now, 2nd-year freshman out of Carver High School in Columbus, Georgia. And Riles with a QB draw. Cole, what jumped out at you today watching SEC football?
Well, I just think some of the offenses that exploded, like you said. Jackson Dart started out, what, 12 of 12 today? I think KJ Jefferson was like 21 of 23 at some point. We had some questions about some of the pieces that had to be replaced in a lot of these groups. Auburn's offense, a lot of new personnel, a new scheme, a new head coach. KJ's offense was going to be different with Dan Enos coming in. Didn't look like there was going to be a lot of speed bumps for a lot of the SEC offenses this fall.
Tennessee had 499 yards of offense in their win in Music City against UVA.
I don't think many people had a lot of questions about that one.
I think you talk about college football as a whole. One of the coolest things we've seen all day, maybe in a long time, is Virginia's Mike Hollins leading his team on the field. His first game back since surviving the gunshot wound, the shooting that took the lives of 3 of his teammates. That was incredible and puts in perspective everything else that happens on the field. 3rd down 3 now for DJ Riles. And it's taken away. Just flat ripped away by Alabama after the completion. Wow, what a play by Blackshire. Kendrick Blackshire said, give me that. Bama with a 42-point lead and another takeaway. Leave it there, and I will take it myself. Thank
you. SEC Saturday Night is presented by T-Mobile 5G Home Internet, connecting homes across the SEC.
You may be familiar with how that game played out last year, but I don't know if you've heard it quite like this. Oscar Clariga has been calling SEC games since 2012.
Mueve su corredor hacia el lado derecho. Ya le centra el ovoide, va a ir al pase, va a ir. ¡Ay! Se le va de las manos. Sí, a la 20, a la 17. 33 yardas. Toda la defensiva sobre la línea. El centro es bueno, patada en el aire. Buena.
Number 1 Alabama survived the trip to Austin after that 33-yard field goal with 10 seconds left from Will Riker. By the way, our buddy Oscar is in town here this week and will stick around for next week. He's been calling SEC games to 17 Latin American countries for the last 11 years, and Nick Saban is his idol. He'll see a good one next week here with Texas coming to town. Ty Simpson now in a quarterback for Bama. And he hands it off on first down to pick up a first down. Going deep now. What can we expect from Ty Simpson?
Well, when I left the spring game, and this was before Tyler Buchner transferred and obviously before summer and fall camp, I thought Ty Simpson had a really good chance to win this quarterback job. I think he has a really high ceiling as a pocket passer. He's incredibly talented. Arm is strong, accurate. I think he's still learning how to play within the pocket, how to be confident in stepping up in the pocket, continuing to see what is happening downfield, not leaving too early. It was one of the things Tommy Rees mentioned quite a bit, but he's got every ounce of talent that you would want at the quarterback position.
There's Richard Young with his second consecutive carry.
Nice job by Terrence Ferguson there, 69, coming in at guard. He's a young man that Nick Saban actually pointed out during fall camp, saying he's made a lot of improvement. Tyler Booker apparently rubbing off on him a little bit with the physicality. Pancake about 4 or 5 yards off the line of scrimmage there.
Second down 8 now for Simpson. Dad Jason, the head coach at UT Martin since 2006, longest tenured head coach in the Ohio Valley. They went to Athens today. Looking forward to that Texas game. Here's a comp of the two QBs. Quinn Ewers 19 of 30 against Rice today, 3 touchdowns and 1 on the ground.
Well, we got a chance to see Texas in the bowl game last year. Remember being down on the field? I mean, Quinn Ewers is incredibly talented, and he has a lot of firepower around him. When you think about that game last year, obviously Bryce Young was on the field. He was the #1 overall draft pick, and it was a really close game, obviously early in the season, but Texas is going to be really tough this year.
Cole, one of the things Steve Sarkisian talked to us about last year at the end of the season with Quinn Ewers is that he was still kind of learning how to be a Texas quarterback. What do you think that maturation level, how did it change over the course of the offseason, do you think?
I feel like it's come a long way, and I do feel like that was a big question. You guys remember during the game we were talking about just his body language, and there was a fight on the field between his teammates and kind of how he responded to that. But you know, he's really cut into the nutrition. He's changed his body, cut his hair. I know people kind of laugh at that, but I think what it does is it takes some of the attention away from other things that people were focusing on with him, and football has become a real priority for him. I mean, I think the Arch Manning situation has been great for Quinn Ewers. It's allowed him to sort of refocus on football and what it takes to be great at it.
They're down 5 for Ty Simpson and Bama. And Simpson will pull it, keep it himself, and he's able to pick up a first down. They got tackled around the neck after a 12-yard scramble by Teldrick Ross.
I mean, all 3 of these guys have some juice running the football. I mean, Ty just showed some speed there as well.
Still sticking with 2 tight ends. Miles Kitzelman is in the game with Robbie Oots. First and goal. Simpson to the slant. It is caught, but taken down short of the line. There's Jalen Hale.
Trying to give Middle Tennessee a taste of their own medicine. Exact same play. Little pick route with a slant on the outside that Middle Tennessee ran for the touchdown. That time, though, Middle Tennessee playing off on the outside, so able to cut over the top and stop the receiver just short of the goal line.
Second and goal. Simpson trying to sneak it, and they move the entire pile into the end zone. Middle must have had 10 guys within 5 yards of the ball, but couldn't stop the surge.
Great pad level here all across the board.
Miles McVay, freshman at a fantastic program in East St. Louis, finished his block 7 yards deep in the end zone.
Wonder how much of the Eagles' Jalen Hurts quarterback sneak push we're going to see this year in college football.
Probably a lot of it. Point after good. Connor Talty on to kick now. Ty Simpson, third quarterback of the night, and he's the third quarterback to run for a touchdown. J.C. Latham, one of the leaders on the offensive line, and as a leader for Alabama when they look at what's happening in Athens, Georgia as well.
I don't think that I respect the fact that they have one back-to-back. I know that's not easy at all. I see the work that they put in, but in the same time, I don't think that their standard is great. I don't think it's above our standard, though.
Standard's a standard. Doing on the return by Kellen Stewart. All right, so here are the two programs by the numbers. How would you describe where Georgia is right now versus where Alabama is?
I mean, right now, they're ahead of Alabama. I mean, how could they not be? Back-to-back national titles. They're the favorite to win it this year. But Alabama's dangerous because we know what happens when you start to doubt Alabama. We know what happens when you start to talk about other schools. And I think that's when Nick Saban thrives most. And that's when he doesn't have to do the rat poison, right? He doesn't have to fight off complacency because that chip is already on their shoulder. Everyone's talking about Georgia, so I think that's right where Alabama wants to be.
Nick Saban has seemingly been pretty happy this offseason. AL.com actually broke down his press conferences, and the report was he's smiling now more than ever in the press conferences he's had.
They got a smile counter on him?
That's right. 2 yards on the right side. I think what is unique about what Kirby has accomplished at Georgia is here they are back-to-back national champions. Nobody doubted them last year, even though they all insisted that everyone did. Like, they have closed off the outside, and Kirby, even though he's got back-to-back national titles, still goes about his business with a chip on his shoulder. That's shocking.
Yeah.
Given, just walk by the trophy room.
The best do, though. You know what I mean? I mean, Tom Brady, at the end of his career, still had a chip.
That's wild.
With rings on every finger he could imagine, right? I mean, but the best find a way to motivate themselves intrinsically and from an exterior standpoint. I think that's what it takes, and Nick Saban's done that. Kirby Smart does that. The best all do.
Kyle Lowe is the new quarterback for Middle Tennessee. He's their third quarterback of the night. They've got a 3rd and 2. Lowe hands it off. And Middle's able to pick up a first down. Remember, the clock does not stop on first downs outside of the last 2 minutes of each half in college football. That'll shave off a handful of plays on either side throughout the course of the season. Low directing traffic. Little toss for the sweep and good penetration up front. And it's a loss of 1.
Scoreboard obviously hasn't reflected what Middle Tennessee would like to show tonight, but I will say in this day and age, it's really hard to be a group of 5 team and sustain success, right? I mean, MTSU's best receiver last year, now a starter at a Power 5 conference.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? These group of 5 teams get poached for their best players. So once you develop them to a point, they get poached. So makes their job more difficult. But I think this team is going to be really good on defense. Probably the best in Conference USA they got a chance to be in on offense. Second year under Mitch Stewart. Second year in the air raid. Got a quarterback that's got a strong arm. I think they can take a big step in their conference.
It's a challenge, no doubt, to lose the players that you've brought in that were either overlooked or underdeveloped. You develop and they go on and have success. But the counter to that is if you're located literally in Middle Tennessee, just outside of Nashville, all of the talent that's there, there's guys that go off to North Carolina, other Power 5 schools and say, you know what, I wasn't good enough there. And water seems to find its level. And you get those guys to come back home, or just to find a play. Doesn't have to be coming back home. But find a place to play.
No doubt.
That's how you use the system. After false start penalty, they'll back them up. Try it again.
You know, Tom, that geography has become a big strategy of not just when kids hit the portal, but before. Like I talked to Eddie Robinson Jr. at Alabama State, and he said that's why we recruit all the 5 stars in Montgomery around our campus, because we want them to feel like they're comfortable here, they like us. So if they do hit the portal one day, they can come back home. Same thing with Kane Womack at South Alabama. Told me the same thing. He said we recruit all the high-profile kids in Mobile because if they do go somewhere else and want to come home, we want them to know everything we have to offer.
Yeah, we're here, and you can be happy playing here. And certainly the game has changed since both of these head coaches have been at their respective institutions. Two of the longest tenured head coaches in the FBS, and back-to-back bowl wins for Rick Stockstill. Kirk Ferentz in his 25th season in Iowa City. Big win for Kyle Whittingham in Utah Thursday night. And Rick Stockstill came here to Middle just a year before Saban got to Alabama. .120 to go and rolling. Isaiah Bond back to receive. Bond has a chance. And gets taken down by the second man after a 51-yard punt and then a flag after.
Holding. Return team number 7. The 10-yard penalty will be enforced from the end of the run. First down.
Got a hold of the long snapper, the pride of the Homewood Patriots, Brody Butler.
Well, it was just the second career start for Jalen Milroe, but he didn't look like it. Was on the money, deep throws, used his legs. And with Texas looming around the quarter, I think he showed everything he needed to take the full confidence of this coaching staff, this team, and what was billed as a quarterback competition that just recently got wrapped up.
Made history tonight. They'll try to run it a little bit. First time in the last 25 years, by the way, Alabama had 3 quarterbacks with a rushing touchdown. What history will be on display next Saturday night? No dice on 2nd and 7. And that will close the book after that tackle by DeMonte Smith. You believe in quarterback wins? Like, does Jalen Milroe go to 1-0, or are you not down with that?
Absolutely. I'm a quarterback.
Yeah. Well, Jalen Milroe and Alabama go to 1-0. Milroe with 3 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns. 56-7 is our final score. Down to the field. Here's Cole.
Coach Saban, you had quarterback runs, you had pressures on the quarterback, you had a physical offensive line play. Did we begin to see the personality of your team take shape tonight?
Yeah, I think the guys delivered what we wanted to try to do. I think we played shoddy in a couple spots, so we need to clean that up. And obviously we're going to play, tougher and tougher competition as we go. We got a couple guys banged up tonight, so that might be a problem for us. But I really like the attitude of the team. I like the way they come out. I like the energy they played with. Great atmosphere for the first game, and appreciate the fans as well.
The execution from your quarterback, Jalen Milroe, was it higher than you wanted it to be tonight?
No, it was good. He's been playing good and prepared well for the game, and I thought he did a nice job out there. I'm sure he'll learn a couple other things that'll help him improve. We all got, plays that we can improve on, but I thought he did a really good job.
Thank you very much, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Well, you heard Nick Saban reference a couple of the injuries. Of utmost concern will be Malachi Moore and their starting safety. We'll look for updates on that. Coming up next, SEC football final. Wrap up everything throughout college football in the SEC today. Our final, Bama 56, Middle 7. For Cole Kublik, Jordan Rogers, our entire crew, Tom Hart. We'll see you later.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Dory Noka, Chris Doring, Benjamin Watson. This is... Nick Saban seems awfully pleased as you're ever going to get, talking about a quarterback making his second career start. That's Jalen Milroe. Milroe standing by right now with Cole Kublik.
Jalen, just tell us first and foremost how that felt tonight to not only be able to go out and get the start, but play the way that you did.
Honestly, it came from the collective group as a whole, as our team, how we approach the season. It came from our summer workouts, it came from fall camp, it came through how we approach every day following the game. So I honestly can say that it was our preparation that allowed us the success for today. But I'm super proud of the team, super proud of how we came out here and competed. The great team we played against, I'm just happy for all the guys.
I know you hadn't seen the tape yet, and things will change when you do, but are there certain things that you knew right away, okay, I can build on that, I know I can build on that, or that's something I was wondering how I was going to go out when I got into a live game?
Honestly, my game as a whole. Number one, I want to build on leadership. The leadership, pushing the guys and leading the offense. I want them to trust in me, that we can push this thing every single time we take the field. As far as the offense, man, I just want to continue to be upfront, physical. As far as our guys playing fast, competing. So overall, as our game, I just want to improve.
Thank you, Jalen.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Congratulations. Dari, back to you.
All right, Cole, thank you very much. Great stuff. Primetime Crew is a primetime crew for a reason. Great.